What's poppin', my little Bandicooties? Lord Bandicoot 97XX has signed back onto the PlayStation Network, my little babies. Let's get straight down to business. Hope you're down to clown with me for a couple minutes, because I wanted to come back with something fierce, something fire! And I wanted to start by starting from the very beginning. The beginning of my love for video games. Video games are pretty cool, right? Even if the word gamer makes you quiver with cringe these days, we gotta admit, video games pretty cool. So if you'd allow me the standard 10+ minute YouTube video of your time, I'd like to sit back and talk about where I came from, where I started from, my journeys as a little gamer boy, the franchise that I've grown to love with so much passion over the years, no matter what it goes through. Yes, even the really bad. Hey, let's talk about the Sonic's ass game. Ignore that, please. I've been trying to get that off for years, and trust me, I've had barely any luck. Ah! My dumbass got the sody pop on my nice hot Zosh shirt. First and foremost, before I start flapping my gums and gushing over this franchise for obvious nostalgia purposes, I want to stress that this is more or less of a series of videos where I do less of a professional review and more of storytelling of how I got into this franchise and how I grew to love it over time, and more or less give you a set opinion of each one and why each is so important to me. So let me kick this off with the very first Crash Bandicoot, shall we? First of all, this is known to me as the very first game I ever played. That's right, very first game I ever got my hands on. If you don't count Freddy Fish on the PC. Which I'm not, because I actually owned a PS1 before I owned my shitty little Dell computer. Many children from the late 90s / early 2000s broke their video game V card off their really crappy gateway computers playing Putt Putt Enters the Race. But one thing you gotta know about me is that I was a very edgy kid, and I started my journeys with a brain-dead super marsupial, saving a Bandicoot woman that, without a doubt in my mind, was the cause of sexual awakenings for a bunch of kids out there. I mean, just saying, it says it in her design. I mean, come on, this has over-sexualized written on it about as much as Lara Croft. I mean, you're gonna see some polygonal titties, I'm gonna tell you that much. Our story begins in the year 1997. Your boy, that's me, was born on a beautiful little island called Destiny Island, Puerto Rico. My mother, while she had me in her belly ready to break down the walls like Jericho and make my millennial entrance into this world. I probably wrote this while I was drunk or something. But in continuation, while my mom was still pregnant, living in a house with like 5 other sisters, she would be using her downtime playing the OG PlayStation. And most of the time, she was playing this game. So naturally, when I came out of my mother hen, I was spiked with curiosity as to what kind of games she was playing, whenever I took a gaze at this little gray box and the virtual worlds that it produced. So mommy dearest naturally gave me the console and put the controller in my hand and gave me the game that she played while I was in her belly. Now if this ain't the backstory of the most badass anime protagonist, I don't know what is. I'm pretty sure plenty of people remember the times where there was a bunch of mascots trying to claim the PlayStation as their territory. It's like a bunch of dog owners went to one park and all of these dogs are just roaming around but trying to pee on one specific tree. And I mean, you really couldn't blame them during this time. After all, Nintendo's Mario and Sega's Sonic rivalry was really at its peak during this time. So naturally, when the PlayStation was making big numbers, big boy money, a bunch of platformer titles tried to toss their head right in the middle of the Mario and Sonic rivalry. Crash Bandicoot, of course, was one of the first ones to do this, and really one of the only ones that could keep up in terms of quality. No offense to the other platformer titles that put forth their best effort, but the Bandicoot was the one with the attitude that everybody was looking for back then. I mean, after all, this was the late 90s, man. I mean, the man went to Nintendo headquarters with a megaphone to shout out how good his game was and that the Plumber Boys' days were numbered.
Your worst nightmare has arrived. Pack up your stuff!
And the things that he says about the game, albeit small and vague, are actually pretty accurate.
We got real-time, 3D, lush organic environments.
But I'm getting a little ahead of myself here. Let's actually talk about the game itself. Yo, and out, pinky out. So, 1996. Developed by the greatest devs of all time, Naughty Dog, Crash Bandicoot was right up there with Mario 64 as one of the earliest 3D platformers out there. And for Mayro 64 to give off the first impressions of the 3D platformer genre on the N64 was absolutely astounding. And for me, the same thing can go for Crash Bandicoot on the PlayStation. If you weren't rocking with the N64 at the time with Mario over here, then you know what, darling, it's all good. If you got the PlayStation here, you can rock with the Bandicoot. Tight controls but challenging platforming accompanied by level aesthetics and music about as iconic as a Mario or a Sonic game. Crash for platforming enthusiasts made it cool to own a PlayStation. Nowadays, people like to talk about the challenging part and difficult aspects of Crash's gameplay, to a point where they somehow put Dark Souls' name and associate it with the Bandicoot. I never got it. Memes aren't funny anymore. It's kind of sad. Anyway, because games are so easy to complete nowadays, a lot of people like to complain about the challenge that this game has to offer. And well, to that I say, allow me to get into why this game may seem like it plays like dookie ass sometimes, but actually plays fairly decent, and dare I say it, satisfying. First of all, keep in mind that this is one of the very first 3D platformers out there. I mean, the code name for this game was the Sonic's Ass game. It's literally just taking the concept of like a Sonic game, flipping it around to where you can see Sonic's ass and bada boom bada bing, you're in 3D, baby boy. So keeping that in mind, I'm not going to act like this game doesn't show its age. However, I have been playing this game in and out about my whole life, so I'm not going to act like I haven't gotten used to it or I hold any bias towards it or anything like that, because very obviously, I do. I think nowadays when it comes to the platformer genre, people have gotten too used to a bit of a floaty nature with how characters jump and move. I think what puts question marks above people's head about the way Crash controls is the fact that he's so much heavier. I don't know if that makes any sense to you guys as of right now, but I'm gonna try to explain to you why Crash feels like such a hefty boy. Let's go, babies.
It's game time.
The way Crash consistently plays is that his jumps are actually controllable based on how long you keep your hold on the jump button. Whether it's a tap to get a quick hop, or holding it for as long as you can to get the most height and length out of your jump. But no matter how you hold your jump, you always seem to fall the same. You see, when Crash descends from his jumps, he fucking plummets. This is what I mean by Crash feeling heavier than other platformers. Mario in his games has a fair balance where he feels very natural and very hippity-hoppity when he jumps. Sonic, being the fastest thing alive, has his quick and effective homing attack which brings a pretty straightforward flow. Crash just does an unnecessary front flip and just... But it's the weight of Crash's jumps and how you control them that actually makes beating certain levels truly satisfying. The feeling of beating levels like the high road is unlike any other when you find just the right amounts of times to hold your jump to make it from one turtle to the other. Unless you decided, I don't got time for that shit, and you decided to use the bridge cheat. Alright, it's time. Let's go. Let's get this W, bro. Saw you above and, okay. Alright, I think I have a better game plan. How about switch to the other corner? Alright, clearly that didn't work. I am a god. You cannot touch me. Up and at 'em, baby. Let's go. Now it... What? Roger that, my G. We are good. We are good money. Yee-haw! The challenge or difficulty of the game, while it's not for everybody, is something that I welcome. But something that I will never, ever do in my life is 100% this game because... Why do you hurt me? I mean, I'll admit, I did just say that I like a good challenge, but good God in heaven, bro, is this shit not worth all the stress and headaches? Some gems are fine and easy peasy, and others can just suck my pee-pee. Ayo, to the demigods walking this earth that were able to flawlessly run through levels like Sunset Vista and Slippery Climb, I applaud every single one of you, because no matter what age I am, I can't seem to run through these levels without dying 15 to 20 times. And you know, to count it as a flawless run, in order for me to get that sweet little shiny juicy gem, I gotta pause the game after I die the first time around, press select so I can go back into the map, and then press the level again that I was just in to start from scratch, just so I could get the stupid gems. And good God, there's so many loading times as effect of this. Okay, so back to the positives. The music still slaps to this day. Going back and listening to some of these tracks are a fun little nostalgic blast. The main theme song of Crash is already iconic enough. I mean, there are definitely people out there that don't even mess with video games all that heavy, but I'm pretty sure if I could just play Crash's theme song out loud to them, they'll probably recognize what it is. But it doesn't just stop at a good theme song. Oh no, trust me, this expands like a DK dong. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can even appreciate the little tribal singing in one of the levels like Native Fortress or something. I mean, that for sure is definitely unique. But then you get to the absolute peak of adrenaline. Oh, but then the game decides, nah, we're not heavy enough. You don't understand the gravity of the situation right now. You're getting chased by a boulder. Run! Oh, and when it comes to the bonus levels, bonus tracks, fire. Now let's get more into the things that made this game unique from a visual standpoint. Now, as the kids say these days, this game look clean! Even by today's standards, the original PlayStation graphics have a very distinct and charming look to them. From the polygons that you could literally count, to the JPEG textures just slapped onto these models to give the illusion that you're looking at something slightly realistic. And some games from the get tried to find the PS1's hardware limitations and really tried to get in there and find its limits. And good old Naughty Dog was acting pretty naughty themselves, deciding to crack open this bad boy and work around some of the areas in the hardware itself. I mean, just oh, look at that. Oh, crack! But nah, in all seriousness, Naughty Dog really did crack this thing open to try and work around some of the hardware limitations to get the game looking like it did. Naughty Dog were really out here looking to make a game that would just blow the socks off of kids and adult gamers alike. So much so that they went rogue as shit on this console and decided, yeah, no, we run this shit, baby. Take that, Nintendo. Maybe next time you'll think again before you start doing work with Philips CD. But it's not just the graphics that can still stand on its own when it comes to this game, but it's also the art direction. Crash produces this really wacky cartoony style that'll most likely remind you of cartoons like Looney Tunes or Animaniacs, something out of Warner Brothers. And let's not forget, in the late 90s and early 2000s, cartoons were pretty poppin' as well. Crash himself is really sharp and very expressive. I mean, look at this boy. And this doesn't just apply to Crash, this applies throughout the character designs of every character throughout this game. Characters in this game can kind of tell you what they are through their designs alone, and I love things like that. That's just an example of good character design. You got Crash, the brain-dead, batshit insane spinny protag, and then there's Dr. Eggman. Done! There's a reckless mafia Tommy gun shooting Potteroo who honestly has the most insane but the funniest laugh throughout this entire game. You can't forget about Blue Kangaroo in a straitjacket who also has a pretty crazy laugh. Oh, I almost forgot to tell you about the Frankenstein's head-ass underling of Dr. Eggman who drinks some Nickelodeon slime in a bottle to turn into the Hulk. And to cap all of our adventures off, we just yeet the doctor off of his little Sonic Riders looking jetboard. I gotta agree with diehard game fan on the back cover of this game. The best action/platform game I've ever seen or played. I gotta agree wholeheartedly with you, G. I love this game to death and I always will. Crash's unique, tight controls, gameplay, design, music, all of the above really just brings an enjoyable experience. Ever since I was born all the way to now, I could still play Crash 1 just fine and have a wonderful time with it. I won't deny that I got a bit of nostalgic bias towards this game, but fuck you. This game is always gonna have a special place in my heart, no matter what. I gotta thank this little orange furry beast for being the one to show me what video games are. It's because of this game in particular that I even know about video games, or that I even play them, or that I would even have the bravery to even start a YouTube channel and annoy the shit out of you guys about it. That's enough of me blabbing on, but thank you guys so much for watching the video up until this point, honestly. It means a lot to me to even have just a couple people have an open ear for what I have to say about certain video games. Especially for something that I will cherish in my heart till the day I die. It really does sincerely mean a lot to me. I appreciate y'all. Until the next video, I'm oh no, that was convenient timing.